I
And
love that
also
you also
on,
mentioned like professors and their research and things like
yeah,
that. That was so
yeah. So
cool.
it is also important to write down on our
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another podcast episode. This is kind of the first podcast where I'm going to be sharing emails, where I'm going to be sharing like SOP. The guest itself, he's so kind. So that's why we decided that let's go and share as much as we can so that we can provide as much value as you can. One of the biggest myth we have is GRE is the only thing which is going to decide your admission, which is not in this case. The guest we have, he did not even apply with GRE. Even though he did give GRE, he did not apply with GRE. He still have admits from Ivy League, which is crazy to me. Our guest name is Sarthak. Sarthak, if you're watching this, thank you so much for doing this. Sarthak is still in India. He just applied, but the story itself of coming from applying without GRE and getting an admit from Ivy League was inspiring. So I said, let's do a podcast on this, and then once you finish your education in Colombia, once you get Google, Microsoft, Facebook, we will do another podcast. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's get started. Thank you, Sarthak, for doing this. Really means a lot to me. I know we connected on Instagram Live and we are like, oh, let's do it. Let's do a podcast session. I know you're still in India, and hopefully, when you come
yeah.
here and finish your Columbia education, Ivy League education, you'll still remember me and come on podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
definitely, definitely.
thank you,
So
man.
like
Thank you for doing this.
yeah, yeah. So before, just rolling in on the podcast, first of all, I'd like to thank you from bottom of my heart to make those videos which like every international student watches your channel. And I've been watching your channel since I was in first year of undergraduate. And yeah, man, your videos are awesome. And through these podcast stuffs, you're really giving great information to students. So thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks a lot. It really, it really uh it is taking your time, I know, but still you are going in on by managing your daily stuffs and also uploading videos on YouTube. So
Hmm.
that's great. That's great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your videos. They
Thank
were
you.
really
Yeah. Thank
helpful in the
you.
application process.
It's only
Yeah.
possible because of the guests like you who are also willing to come forward and share their experience and journey. So anyway, in the intro, I definitely talked about how you got into Ivy League and how GR is not the important thing, and SOP is also something very important. Profile is also something important. We're gonna share all of that. But before that, let's do a quick intro for people who don't know you. What's your name? Where are you from? What do you do right now? And fun stuff about you.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Sarthak Vaidya, and I'm basically from Thane, Maharashtra. I'm currently in my last semester of undergraduate studies. I'm doing bachelor's in chemical engineering at University of Mumbai,
Hmm.
and I would be joining Columbia University for Master of Science in Chemical Engineering program for fall 21 semester.
So cool. That is so awesome. Is Colombia going on like full on campus? Do you know for fall semester or no?
Yeah, they have said it earlier that they are definitely going to be on campus. And New York, as you know, New York is opening from 1st of July. This is what Biden declared. So I guess Colombia will be like 90. There is 90% chance that Colombia will be on sorry, offline, completely offline on campus. But still there is 10% chances. We don't know like how will
Hmm.
COVID things turn out to be.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I know a lot of universities have declared that their campuses is going to be, open and people have to be on campus. So that's good news. I think it is a good news. So and also obviously you are the first one I think who's going to be doing masters in chemical engineering. I have guests who have done bachelors in chemical engineering, but no one have done masters in chemical engineering. So I'm actually excited to see where your journey takes, and I'm so excited for you to actually start your journey at Colombia because one, obviously you will learn a lot of new things and it's going to be fun and it's going to be New York. Is it a 1 year program?
No, it's actually 16-month program. So the
Okay.
program is like first 8 months, that is fall and spring semester, they'll cover about 24 credits. And then summer semester is kept for internships.
24 credits for first year. Okay. First year. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
first year. So basically at Columbia, the academic year is fall plus spring. So the academic year is just 8 months. So once you complete the academic year, in first 8 months, you're basically done with all the most of the credits, most of the courses. And every semester for first and second semester, we are required to take 4 subjects. Basically, for first semester, 4 subjects, second semester, 4 subjects. And then in summer, the summer is the time where people usually do an internship in industry for 4 months. And then coming back from summer, again in next fall, the next fall is part-time semester, and students are usually allowed to do 1 semester on part-time basis at Columbia. I have no idea like about how this thing works at other university.
Yeah.
So in last part-time semester, it's like you just need to do 6 credits, which is 2 subjects.
Let's move on to profile, because everybody would love to know your profile. Like, what is your GRE, TOEFL, and bachelor's?
Yeah. So at the time of application, my GPA was 8.8, but then my next semester was online. So you can understand how much, everyone scored like 9.5 pointer. So yeah, that GPA thing shooted up to 9.2 just by 1 semester. So at the time of application, I had 8.8 GPA, CGPA. Then my GRE was 312. But for fall 21 semester, GRE was optional, so I didn't submit my GRE score to any of the universities I applied to, and even then I got admits. And I gave IELTS instead of TOEFL, and I scored 7.5 bands in IELTS.
Nice. And that's the part I want to, keep the focus of this podcast is that you did not submit a GRE score for any of the universities you applied to, and you got multiple Ivy Leagues, I think, and you got almost a lot of universities accept. So you definitely saw an opportunity. You saw is like, okay, this can come into my favor, and I can apply. But that also tells me a couple things. Is one, GR is not the deciding factor. Overall, your profile.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been screaming and I've been telling this a lot in my videos that you don't worry about just having low GRE, because they look for your overall profile. And here's an example right here that they didn't even look at your GRE score because you did not apply for it. And also they gave you admits from big universities. So what all admits rejects did you have?
Yeah, so I applied to about 11 colleges. I know this is a big number but the thing is, most of the students last year deferred their admits. So I was not confident enough that, whether I'll be able to back some good admits or not. So I applied to about 11 colleges and I got 10 admits and 1 reject. And the admits were from Columbia, Cornell, UPenn, USC, Rice.
That's amazing.
Rice University, which is in Houston, Purdue, Texas A&M, and UC Davis, Georgia Tech, and Colorado School of Mines. Yeah.
Wow.
These were my 9
all
admits.
top universities. So I definitely, of course it's not GRE, so that it has to do with your profile. It has to do something related to your profile. So let's talk about how did you build this profile, and what is your profile like? What else do you have in your profile? Because you said 8.8 GPA. Of course, that's a very high GPA, but something other than GPA, you might have other things which you have, and also that brings you to the SOP, which you have the things in your profile, but you also wrote it down very well on your SOP. That's why they gave you admit. So let's talk about your profile.
Yeah, absolutely. So my profile is like I had about 4 industrial internships and 2 research internships at IIT Bombay and ICT. And on top of that, I had about 7 to 8 projects throughout my undergrad. And one review article at the time of this I'm speaking at the time of application. I had published 1 review article, 1 research article, and 1 more research article is currently under review in the publication journals, my application. And on top of that, extracurricular activities played kind of, I'll not say a significant role, but yes, it definitely, I guess it got me over other profiles. Because I was into my college cricket team from first year, then I used to participate in every other competition which college, not only our college used to conduct, but also I used to go in for other competitions at other colleges at different locations, like review paper reading, then poster technical paper presentation, and all those stuff. And I was also in dealing with the volunteering and stuff, so it all cumulatively, I guess, helped me bag these admits.
Definitely. I mean, I can see you're hustling hard because from the day one you were like, building your profile. And that's one thing I've said it in a lot of my videos, like focus on your profile, because these all things which you said and other things which people can build up your profile if they start early. And I hope people of your age or people who are younger to you take this video as an inspiration, that if they have slightest idea ki maybe in future I'm gonna do masters, I mean, this is a great example. Like, you don't need, I mean, even if I hated GRE, so even if you hate GRE like me, if you built up your profile, you can get admits like crazy. USC, Cornell, Columbia, Purdue, like these are great admits, and all because you built up your profile like that and you started so early. I'm really hoping that all the undergrad students who are watching right now, start wherever you are at the stage, start right now after watching this video. Now let's focus on internship, because that is something I heard that you had couple of internship. It's very hard for people to get internship, obviously. How did you decide, and what was your process of getting an internship? Like, what did you do?
Okay, so we'll dive deeper in this topic, Yudi, because I think this topic is like one of the most concerned topics for every engineering student. So there are two kinds of internship. One is a research internship, which is usually done at top-notch universities in India, like IITs, and other is a general industrial internship, at that our company-based internship. So I call it industrial internship because chemical engineers work at industry. So yeah. So there are three different ways through which one can find out an internship. First one is the most easiest one, which is like, what's that called? Pehchan types. So if your dad friend is working in some company which manufactures or which works in similar domains where you are working on, or where, yeah, so that's one part. So uh, that's one. So even if your dad's friend or your uncle, if he's working in the same field, then you can ask him for that internship. The second part is about research internship. So research internships at IITs are usually given on the basis of merit. So
Hmm.
uh, so each and every IITs, not every IIT, but top IITs in India, like IIT Bombay, Madras, Kanpur, Roorkee, Kharagpur, and even IISc and IIT Bhubaneswar. So what these IITs do, that for every summer they release as a circular that students can apply. Students from all over India can apply and get that research internship on basis of their merit. So
Hmm.
usually in order to get these internships, their deadline is around January and February for next, that is the following summer, and the internship is usually for about 3 months, and it's not a free internship, it's a paid internship. You get about 8 to 10,000 rupees per month,
Hmm.
and they cover out the expenses for your hostel and mess, and trust me, that's really great. So they roll out these applications in the month of December. So one can start looking, whoever is currently in their first year, second year, and third year, they can start looking for these internships. They can, go out on each and every IIT's official website and try to search for these internships. They are sometimes also called as summer fellowship program. Thing is, like, many people, or most of the people already know whether they want to get into research and do masters in thesis or PhD, and others no, like, they don't want to get into research, they want to work in industry. So it makes sense for them to get an internship in industry. So this is like my third approach, which I usually followed, and most of my internships were through this approach. And this approach is generally for industrial internships. So what I used to do is I used to, first when I wanted to search for an internship, I saw and I made a list of all the companies who are manufacturing chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and stuff who are currently in Mumbai. And I went on their website. I searched for their careers thing, which is usually on every company's website. And yeah, these companies might be big multinational companies, or it might be a small local industry. But all you need is to get experience, and not even experience is not the word, because you are an undergraduate student and you are learning something. They are not going to ask you to do something, what they are working on. They are going to teach you, and you're going to learn that thing. So what I used to do is I used to get their emails or contact details of HR from their company, and I used to directly give them a call or drop them an email that I am looking for an internship. and I used to do this for every summer session. And one thing with Mumbai University is students usually don't get time to do an internship during winter breaks. Yeah. So the only time you have is to do an internship during summers. That is one to 1.5 months or 2 months at max. But for my case, when I was in my second year, university passed a new rule that from now on exams would be conducted in November, and everyone would get time to do winter internships as well in the month of December. So that's the reason, I was able to do multiple internships at the same time. So
yeah, I think the key idea over here, I mean, of course, your story is so great. And like the step by step, which you said, like, make a list of companies and finding their emails, going to the careers website. And it's like, okay, this is either call them or email them and following up them. The key idea, which I think out of all this people should take out is really just don't waste your summer. Either you do freelancing projects, do projects, or just like take some classes, or do internships like this. Like he said, like even if they ask you to do the work, it's great because it adds to your profile anyway. So that is something I got inspired when I was talking to you offline. Like so cool that when I was at your age, I mean, I guess I did some jobs, but I did not had so much courage to like approach all this. I didn't even think about it because at that time I wasn't even sure that I was gonna go to masters and all that. So people who are watching, who are in their undergrad, who are in or their first semester or 11 12 standard, these are the things you should keep in mind. Don't waste your summers, and instead make use of it. And there are plenty of opportunities, and there are so many companies in India, so many.
exactly.
Someone will give you chance. You just have to of course, out of 1,000 maybe only 2 or 3 will respond, but you have to give her that shot. So
yeah. So the thing is, Yudi, the thing here is what I have seen personally, that for those who are working in so-called engineering branch, which is chemical, mechanical, civil, okay, even electrical, but electrical do has ties to some kind of software designing and stuff. So what I have seen that if you want to get internships in these industries, so-called industries, you will they don't pay you basically. You will need to work them for free. Work for them for free. So what most of the students do is, he's not paying me, so why should I do that? Why should I go out there, travel that much? And you know how much time does it take to travel in Mumbai through local train? Yeah. So these are like what these things what are what people think, students think, that they are not going to pay you. So why should we do this, and why should I do these internships? But I'll say that internships and projects are very, very important in building your profile. And it's not like going there and doing time pass, just you're just doing that internship for the sake of certificates. At the time of application, they are not going to ask you for any certificates, any proof that yes, let me check if this person has done this internship or not. What they see is
what have you learned?
What have you mentioned? What have you learned? What skills have you gained? What knowledge or what apparatus have you worked on? And all this they usually see through your resume, because in resume, for academic resume or CV, we have to usually mention 2 to 3 points about every internship,
Hmm.
projects, or research papers you have published. So and even in SOP, you need to mention that.
I know that there are so many students who have similar experiences like you, who might have similar projects like you, but they might not be able to put all of this into SOP. And that is one of the things which you have done it really well, because one, I mean, of course, you have SOP so strong, that's why you're getting so many things, because I strongly believe that SOP, your strong SOP has gotten you an edge over a lot of other students. And two, I think it's, you have experiences and you can walk us through your SOP, like, okay, this is what I was thinking, how to form an SOP, this is my first paragraph thought process, second paragraph. So that'll be so cool.
Yeah, sure. But before showing the SOP on screen, I'd like to give a short disclaimer. Don't just copy. Even I know, like many people, like most of the students who are applying, try to find SOP on internet, and you are getting this kind of SOP, hardcore SOP right now on screen. So don't just copy it. American universities take this plagiarism super seriously,
Yeah.
and it's not about your application being rejected. They can also ban you from getting into universities, or even ban you from getting into US. So don't just copy anything from my SOP. We just wanted to show how to write an SOP. What should be your brain processing about before writing an SOP? How should be your rough draft be, and what all questions you need to answer in that SOP? Yeah.
Hmm.
So let's just roll on with the SOP right now. So while I was writing SOP, first I just made a rough draft. What should I write? So in first paragraph, I basically started out with the moment of revelation. That what was the when was that moment when I realized that I want to pursue MS, or even though not MS, why I want to get into one specific concentration. That is, chemical engineering also has different concentrations, and the main thing of chemical engineers is to work in oil and gas companies or specialty chemical companies. But I always wanted to get into sustainable energy streams. So I have just, in first paragraph I've just mentioned like why did I decided to get into sustainable energy, what was the reason, and when did I realize, what was the
Hmm.
exact time, and what were my plans before deciding that I want to get into these domains. And in second paragraph I have written just current thing, what am I doing currently, on which project I'm working on. So two things you need to consider before mentioning about your projects or even internships is that, as I just said, what skills, it's more important to write down what skills you gained rather than just focusing on in which great company did you work in, or on under which great professor did you work in. It's important to write down what skills did you gain, what knowledge were you able to get, and what all other factors were you able to what all other domains of your field were you able to explore through this internships or through these projects. So I had
Hmm.
many projects, so I tried to write them down in different paragraphs. That's it.
Yeah. So
Just here, yeah,
I'm looking at
yeah.
your thing. Yeah, like you said, the first one, you're setting the, like, kind of the main gist of what is this going to be. You're setting the history, and then the second, from
Exactly.
starting from second, third paragraph are more on your projects. Like, what did you learn during this project? What are the projects you worked on? And then going
Yeah.
into the
And
fourth.
to give
Mhm.
a short note here, try to mention each and every specific words related to your project, words related to your field. That's very
Hmm.
important. Your SOP should not be general, your project should not be general. And in core engineering, you can easily find these words, because these are the words which you are using to title your project, which you are using in or it's not those words which you are using on day-to-day basis while communicating with your project partners or with your members or seniors at internships. So
Hmm.
just keep in mind that, try to mention specific words related to your project. Yeah.
Yeah.
So continuing on, I just went on continuously like where I did internships and what all skills I gained and all that stuff. And now when you want to write about a research paper or mention about review articles, that is something different. It's about why did you choose this particular topic of specific to review article, because for review articles you have multiple topics. So why did you choose this particular topic only? Why did you write a review article on this topic, and what were you thinking, and what is future scope of this particular review article? That's what you need to write about the article. It's not about just about its name, but your reason to choose that topic and what all scope it has in future. How will this research or review article help you in future, or help any other person who will in future review your will go through your research paper or review paper. So that's more important. And then again, going down, it's just a short para. You need to mention about your soft skills, about your coding skills. So I learned, as I said, the simulation softwares, and along with that, I did practice MATLAB coding, MATLAB programming, C++. These were the three languages which I knew before the application. I was not well versed with MATLAB by then, but yeah. And so I also mentioned, so this is something different from your field, right? I'm from chemical engineering, and usually to make your profile stand out, there might be other students as well who are having similar profile, who have worked in similar companies, or who have interns or similar projects too. But in this case, what can make you different is what different skills you have over other students of your same domain. Okay, so here I had in my profile, I had like coding. I knew coding. I had learned languages. I did courses on that, and on top of that, I also did various. I have not mentioned in SOP, but at the time of application, I did about 10 online courses related to my field, or directly or indirectly related to my field through Coursera, EDX, and stuff. So I guess every student should also focus on studying these courses, because these courses can also help you a lot if you don't have any other project experience or internship experience. So if you do try to do like 5-6 of these courses, it can help you make your profile stronger. And then last part of the SOP comes about the university. So it's very important to do a good research of your university, and to be more specific, the research of your department to which you are applying to. So in my SOP, I mentioned what all courses I'm planning to take. You need to think about future. So what all courses, what all subject am I planning to take? How should I plan those subjects, and why are you planning to take those subjects? You need to answer this particular question. Why are you planning to take those courses at that particular university?
And I love that you also mentioned like professors and their research and things like that. That was so cool.
So it is also important to write down about professors and make a good research. So and it's not just about mentioning down the names, it's about why you want to work with them. What is your unique reason to work with them in future? Each student needs to go through the list of professors and their research and visit their official websites. And after selecting finalizing 2 or 3 professors, you need to read their 1 or 2 research articles as well, in order to at least just to show them that yes, you have done your research in this case. And in my case, I was genuinely interested in the professor's research, because earlier, like, my plan was to get into thesis-based masters at the time of application. So I mentioned about those professors, about his research, and why I want to join his lab, and what things can I contribute in his lab, and what my past experience are which can help me contribute in this lab. You need to answer these specific questions. So I'm in every SOP, I guess I mentioned about 2 professors, but I dig deeper into the professor's research, and I try to answer all these questions. And yeah, that's it. So, and in the last paragraph is just, by reaching your last paragraph, the person who is reading your application will get to know how much interested you really are in the program, and how well can you do in the program. All these questions will be answered in your SOP, and just in the last paragraph, you'll need to mention where all you want to work, and what are your future plans, basically. That's it.
Yeah.
This is how you write an SOP. I mean, this is how I had written my SOP.
No, it's great. It's so awesome. This is the first time ever I'm revealing like an SOP onto the podcast, and also not just random SOP. It's the SOP which got you Ivy League admits. So that is so cool. I'm so so excited and so happy that we did it. I know a lot of students are going to be useful. Something which I really loved, your hustling part, where you actually emailed to the professors that, hey, can I get some fee waivers? And you actually did get some fee waivers. So what was your
Yeah.
idea behind that?
So it usually costs like super amount of fees to apply. So what I just thought that if they haven't mentioned anything on their official portal or application portal, let's just take a chance. Why not email the professor, not professor, the program director or the department head, in order to get to know whether it's like just taking a chance out. So I messaged them, I mailed them, and I in that mail I also attached my transcripts and resume. So I actually, out of those 11, I actually got 4 application fee waivers from the 11 colleges that I applied to.
So cool. Yeah. I'm
And
just
it was through this
displaying.
process itself,
Right. I'm just displaying your email which you sent to me. Thank you for sending that. Please, again, don't copy paste this email, but look at how much detail he has put into that email. He's assigned, like, even the resume, it is named properly. I can say it's version 4, named properly. It's transcript, and it's so cool. I mean, so detail oriented. These are the small things which people miss out on. And you can see his professor's response too over here. It says your chances are very high, therefore I would recommend blah blah blah. And yeah, it's cool. I mean, of course, worst thing is they will say no. I like the attitude which you went for. Is like, okay, what's the worst thing they will say? It's like I'm gonna ask for fee waiver, I'm gonna ask for RATA position. Obviously you didn't ask for it, I'm just giving you an overall picture. Like, the worst thing they will say is like, no, we don't have right now. But you wouldn't even know if you don't try it.
Sure. So before ending the video, I'll just like to give a short message.
Yeah.
Each and every minute of your undergraduate, 4 years of your undergraduate studies are super important. Don't spend time watching on Netflix and stuff. Try to do whatever things you can. Try to do any extracurriculars you can. Try to participate in competition. Try to do projects. Try to bag internships. And even if not that, continuously do something courses. Do courses on Coursera, Udemy. But just don't waste time. If you're planning to get into good universities, I'll suggest don't waste time, because if you make this thing as a habit, like continuously working on something and not wasting time on useless things, on worthless things, then definitely, like, once you come till third year or fourth year, at the time of application, you will definitely have outstanding profile which can outweigh the GRE scores completely. So this is my advice, from my side.
Again, thank you so much for doing this, and until our next one.
Yeah, keep smiling and keep hustling and start working from day one. Okay.
And keep watching my videos.
Yeah, absolutely. And subscribe to Yudi's channel if you haven't subscribed.
All right. Awesome, man. Thank you.